Hey guys, how's it going? Greg Medford, Medford Knife, MKT USA. I'm going to do something today that is not done, well, ever. I've never seen what I'm about to do done. I thought it would be fun as I've become friends with the folks at KaBar. I thought it would be fun to give a shout out. Now, people are always talking to me about collecting knives, and they're always talking about, hey, is this a good investment? And I always say, knives as an investment, in my opinion, is silly. Knives as an investment is just a way to like maybe tell that to your wife or your girlfriend so you can justify your knife buying habit, but don't bullshit me. These are because we like them and they're cool. I want to talk a little bit about a knife that I think is actually a collectible piece. How collectible it is, that's up for you guys to find out or to assess and figure out on your own. Over time, there will be no more of them. They will be really collectible, I believe, barring the end of the universe. Hey, Mark. So, without further ado, many of you saw a video that I did some time ago about the Stone KaBar. And MKT Medhead. How are you, Gregory? I'm good. Thank you. So I thought what I would do is show you that knife one more time. I've put a link down in the doobly-doo below and in the description. That knife is currently available right now. It's $1,000. There are, to my understanding, less than 100 of them. I think this is probably the best knife investment for the if you want to have a knife for a great story, this is one of the best story knives. This is an alignment of planets. This is a story. This is a fucking cool knife. It is a piece of American World War II history, all wrapped up in a really cool bow. So I want to show you the knife one more time for those of you who didn't see it before. Now I'm not an expert on the provenance and history of the ship and the individual and everything. I'm just going to give you this jarhead grunt's perspective on it, and see if you. The knife really speaks for itself, and these things are $1,000. Now I'm going to tell you the truth. The guys at KaBar, I talked to the CEO of the company and they said, hey, Greg, we'll take them down. If you want them, we'll sell them to you for a less price. I don't want any money for these. I'm not doing this for a single penny. I want the guys at KaBar to make the money on this. I really like John, the CEO of the company, and I love the history of the company. And I just think it would be fun for the Medford crowd to reach out. Now, in uncertain times, people stop speculating on silly stuff. This is not silly. People say to their wife, oh, I'm getting another Praetorian tie. This one's a good investment, sweetheart. That's silly. Say, just be honest. Say, sweetheart, I'm getting another Praetorian tie because they're cool and I like it. We got the coin, so fuck it. That's great. But this is a really, really, really unique piece. So I'm going to put the knife up here. I'm going to move this just a little tiny bit. And I'm going to put the knife up here on my couch. I'm going to turn the camera down just a kitten so you guys can see it. I'll put the knife up at an angle. I'm going to open it up for you. And if you haven't seen this, I think this is one of the coolest knife collabs I've ever seen. I've seen the Strider guys have done all kinds of cool reclaimed material. I've done some really cool reclaimed material. I did some Bellewood knives from wood from the Stand of Forest where the Battle of Bellewood took place in World War One. I've done some Iwo Jima stuff from things from Iwo Jima. But this is like a whole nother level of cool story. It's got a father and his son involved in it. And as I break it down for you, it should fucking pop your brain. It's such a great story. So in World War II, the KaBar that's ubiquitous, the utility knife that was sold to the Marine Corps by many companies, including KaBar. We all call them KaBars now because everybody else kind of stopped making them. But during the war, everybody was making that knife. And it was made out of 1095, a basic steel. It was just fine, a spring steel. It's got a rat tail spine down through the middle of a stacked leather handle with a peened over pommel on it, hilt sandwiched in there. As knives go, it's an old-fashioned design. It's a very, for real basic use, it's a fine design. I wouldn't want to go driving across the country in a 1939 car just because I want to get there. It's the same way with the KaBar now. There are modern, really cool options, which I make and other people make, and KaBar makes also. But if you want to get into this really nostalgic shit, and I'm a very nostalgic man, let me tell you a little bit about the knife, and then I'll take it out for you. So, in the Pacific Theater, the salt water for guys who were in repeated extended service in the Pacific, the salt water would rot their knives. So there was a guy on board, and I believe it was a supply ship or a refuel tanker. This guy, his last name was Stone. He would do a mod. You'd give him your KaBar, and he would cut off the leather rings and knock off the pommel and slide off the hilt. And he had made a mold with a handle and a skull, and he would put your knife in the mold. And then, he must have worked down in the engine room or the boiling room, or they had a foundry or something for heating up aluminum. And he would pour aluminum in and cast an aluminum handle around the rat tail part that was normally covered by the stacked leather handle and make this unique knife. You get back, right in a leather sheath, boom, off to the races. And it's pretty savage. Now, the fact that this guy carved this and did it is just like cool American ingenuity. But I wanted to, that is cool in and of itself. The fact that guys heard about and wanted to get done, that's cool. There's so few of them were done. So the CEO of the company says, hey, we want to do a cool project. This is a Stone knife. And he starts using the internet to look up this guy, Stone. And he finds him. And he reaches out to him and says, hey, I'm John, CEO of KaBar. My family owns a company. We'd really like to do a commemorative Stone knife. He calls him up and he's like, oh, well, that's great, but my dad just passed away. And he's like, oh, shit. And the son, much like I would say, well, what do you mean? What were you calling my dad about? He says, well, we want to do this project on a knife that your dad did in World War II. And he goes, oh. He goes, I got the molds out in the garage. And John's like, what? He's like, yeah, I got the molds. And John's like, you mean you have the original molds? Yes. So they struck a deal. The kid had got his hands on the original mold. Like, the odds that he'd be on the phone with Offspring don't give a shit about our tales of adventure from our youth. All my kids know about me is that I'm a good tipper. I pay for everything. I'm a little more prickly than most of the dads, and I don't fit in with everybody because I'm a little revolutionary. When the dads are all standing around on the block and they're talking about their latest job, their latest sales thing, I don't fit in with any of those guys. Anyway, my kids don't know anything about my past. They don't know much about it. They know I was a Marine. They know I went off to foreign land. They don't say that. They're not nostalgic. When I'm closer to dying, my son might start being nostalgic, but he might not. And most kids aren't. That's why the value of a lot of that World War II stuff is kind of diminishing, because there's just less people who connect with it. Guys my age, we remember our grandpas talking about it, but the guys my age, there's fewer and fewer that care about it. Give it another 20 years. So what I want to do is I want to show you this knife and let you know you can get them. Go to the link down at the bottom. They're $1,000. I personally think they should be more. I personally think it's one of the coolest knife story collab projects I've ever seen. KaBar got a bunch of the knives. They got a bunch of, they got the mold, and they took a bunch of knives and of their much upgraded high carbon steel. They polished them, and then they cast them in the molds and made basically brand new original stone molded knives, which is so cool. So let me open it up for you so you can see it. I think if you're thinking about buying a knife for an investment, this is actually an investment. You can actually tell your wife or your ex-wife, or your wife and your girlfriend, wife or your girlfriend, whatever. You can actually, with a straight face, say, this is an investment knife, and it would be true. This is the way it comes. John came out, spent a couple days at the factory here with me, as we've seemed to have become friends. I really like the guy, and he's, as a result of, I'm sure, being other places in here, he's up in the game at KaBar and wanted to do some projects with me. And I thought, before doing any projects with KaBar, nothing wrong with a little bit of goodwill. I want to see what the med heads out there will get online and do, and see if they see a spike in sales on these. There's, like I said, there are less than 100 of them. I think it's one of the coolest knife projects I've ever seen. This is the way it comes from KaBar. It's got a kind of World War II feel to it. It's done. It's in this thing that looks like a mortar round, kind of. It doesn't. It's kind of printed up. It's very creative. It's fun. Let's take this guy out of here. And it sits in like a cradle. We'll put that out of the way since the story's about the knife, right? Such a cool idea. It's got this, it's a little kind of mortar-shaped thing. I dig it. Just a creative way. We're always coming up with creative, differentiating ways to package knife things. In the top of it, there's a DVD. You could tell this was done a few years back because it would be a USB now. These knives have been sleeping because the KaBar crowd is not typically a $1,000 crowd. But for you guys that are real knife people, we're $1,000 people. And if the KaBar crowd's not a $1,000 crowd, you guys should swoop in there and fucking snag these up. So I haven't even watched this. I don't think I have anything that plays a CD or a DVD anymore, but it's got a really cool produced thing and a cool package on top, telling the story. Little booklet about it, certificate of authenticity. Eugene Stone, it was on the USS Holland. Oh, great. Wars raised in the Pacific. Many Marines equipped succumbed to the harsh conditions of jungle warfare. The 1912 Sea Combat knife thrived throughout the Pacific campaign, but even the sturdy leather handle could not escape the grasp of the environment. Exposed to salt water, extreme heat, humidity. Oftentimes they were devastated. Entered Eugene Stone. Mr. Stone worked in the ship foundry, constructing vital parts. It's fucking cool. This is back from the time when you didn't fucking call shit on Amazon. You needed something, you fucking made it. They had a foundry on a ship for making parts. Oh, you need a new thing. Well, you made it in the foundry of the ship. Because you need to make shit. You can't carry all the spare parts. It's fantastic. Back when men were men. Mr. Stoner worked in the ship foundry, constructed vital parts for the USS Holland, devised a solution to combat the jungle rot of the 1219 C2 leather handle. Stone created a mold, cast a metallic handle for the knife. Those blades are still in excellent working order. Stone didn't use just any material for the handles and display the resourceful. Stone cast the handles from scrap material from a variety of downed Japanese aircraft. He used Jap aluminum to make the handles. The knives, the majority of which were built on KaBar blades, featured a cast handle with a cobra for the body and the skull for the pommel. He did 250 to 300 of them made during World War II. Today, the legacy continues. Using the original cast, KaBar and Bill Stone Jr. are proud to present this extremely limited offering of KaBar Limited EW Stone knife. Signed by Stone and signed by John Stitt. Guys, it's one of the classiest, coolest, historic, neato, knife nerd up fucking knives I've ever seen. Let's open it up and get our knife on. Take this piece here, put the little booklet in it. I'll put the little DVD on top. Inside is the mayor of Sexy Town. Now, Gerstner and Sons has been making handmade toolboxes up in Ohio. I believe they're in Ohio. Yeah, Dayton, Ohio, for 100 years. Gerstner did the box sitting behind me. That's a knife collector's case that was a limited edition made just for our company. Gerstner makes these handmade. Now, they also have an Asian-made line. This is all the American-made stuff. It used to be a craftsman would show up for his interview carrying his box. And if you held the Gerstner for a working class craftsman, it was a box just like a briefcase was for a banker in New York in 1920. You show up with that for your interview, and there would be a big factory of machines with big casement windows at the top, some stairs up to an overlooking office with a shop foreman and usually a union rep floating around. You'd go in for your interview and you'd carry the box. And if you had your interview and you got hired, they'd walk you out to a machine with your box and you fucking get to work. Not like, okay, well, go ahead and take your vacation and your terminal leave. We'll see you in a few weeks. You came in, you interviewed, and you fucking went to work. I'm telling you, it's man's man shit. I love it. back from the time when you shook hands on a deal. Well, Gerster and Sons made the box for this. There couldn't be a classier way to do this than what KaBar did. Super fucking sexy. The box is worth $200. Let's open up the box. Oh, oh, oh. When you open it up, there's like the angels sing. It's so fucking cool. Inside, it's got brown felt. We're going to talk about the knife very last. Let's look what's underneath. When you lift up the brown felt, it's a board in here. Inside's a KaBar sheath. Not like their normal sheath. Slightly different shape. It's got the compass stuff on the back. Now, I'm not a KaBar collector. Some guys, oh no, that was the different compass. They changed that in 1937, 1945, 1956. I don't know that stuff. Super cool, not normal. Obviously a hand-stitched sheath that's been black edged all the way around. It is not your normal sheath. It's more of a collector grade. And I would say it's not as nice as a Randall from Vietnam, but it's a nearing Randall quality sheath. Very nice top grain sheath. Cool, cool, cool. That goes in there. Super cool. It's got this cool little step here for the knife. Now let's look at the knife. Now, for those of you who are into like all exotic metals and all that, this is not for you. Or it may be a collector's piece that is for you. Let's talk about it just for a minute. So it's got a cobra's body, and then they put this skull on the top wearing what looks like, it almost looks like it has a football helmet on, but I just think that's the shaping of it. It's actually the zygomatic arch right there makes it look like it's got a football helmet on, but it's just, I think that's just the cheekbone zygomatic arch. But it's got a cool skull on it, kind of great grips. I mean, I've got a big paw and it fits my hand really nicely. And if I was thinking about fucking smashing somebody, other than the fact that it's collectible and what your drool would do that, this is super fucking cool. They didn't have Kydex in World War II. Damn jungle rot. So anyways, super cool. Even on the hilt has got the scale of the Cobra. So this guy hand carved this in negative and made a mold of it. Super cool. Now I'll talk about the blade for the minute. It obviously is KaBar, only in New York. It's in a high polish. It's got kind of a very black, high polish finish. I don't even know what's on it. So, KaBar would like to acknowledge the partners that helped make this limited issue knife possible. Mr. Eugene Bill Stone Jr., Seaport Molded Casting, Barron Technologies, JR Industries, and H. Kirchner and Sons. I don't know what to tell you the metal is, and I should know more about this, but I didn't get it to geek out on the metallurgy. And honestly, I'm looking here at it with my naked eyes. I think it's blued on a high polish because the raw edge is super shiny. It is a high polish that looks to me to have been blued. Now, it doesn't have the artistic hand grinding you guys expect from one of my knives or one of the other guys who makes the $800 pocket knife club. This has got production grinding on it, and then it's been hand polished, and then it's been cast, and it is as cool of a commemorative piece as there ever was in the knife world, in my opinion. They made a limited number of them. There are less than 100 left. At $1,000, if you've ever told someone you buy knives as a collector, you're a liar. You should get this, put it in your collection. Now you're a truth teller. Super fun knife. I hope you guys have a killer weekend. It's really weird for me working on a Friday because we usually work 4/10s. When we have a Monday holiday like we just did last week, I guess that was this week, we take the Monday off as a federal holiday, and then we still get our 4-day work weekend, Tuesday through Friday. Then we have the worst thing imaginable. It's insufferable. I don't know who the slave driving asshole is that decided to do this. We work 4 days straight and have a 2-day weekend. It's just hell. All the employees can talk about is this horrible 2-day weekend. They never mention we have a 3-day weekend almost every week. Guys, the stone knife from KaBar in Olean, New York, one of the companies making fixed blades, all here in the U.S. They've made a bunch of stuff in other places, and they are changing they're changing. I think John, I think he was touched by other American-made guys doing work with them, trying to see their perspective, the love that Marines like me have for the KaBar lineage and company. Maybe he was touched a little bit by coming here and seeing this insane battle to make in America, and he does. They do some of that, and much of their business is also import and collaborative and international, and China. Well, he's told me they're getting rid of their China line and they're going to all friendly, good global neighbors for production and America. He's buying machines. He's been talking to me about buying stuff, so he's bought a machine recently. So they're expanding in what I think is the best direction, which is independence, American made, and cutting ourselves off from the cheap, seductive, international black tar heroin of having somebody else do the hard lifting. Really, really cool knife, you guys, from KaBar. Go down in my description in my title. You can see it there. Go get this knife from those guys. If you don't, you'll regret it. It is so cool. I take it every now and then. I just take it out and I think about fucking smashing somebody in the head with that, and right through the neck with this sand. And this knife just makes me happy. And if you're a jarhead, you know what I'm talking about. If you had an uncle who was a jarhead, you have an inkling of what I'm talking about. If your dad was a jarhead and you learned to be a man by holding the flashlight for your dad, this knife will speak to you. It is fucking cool. Anyways, Greg Medford from Medford Knives, sending a solid out to one of my friends at KaBar. And I hope all those guys up at KaBar know how much we've appreciated them over the decades. One of my first knives was a KaBar. I had a case. Kind of a wild teenager treed me. He was going to beat the shit out of me when I was like 6 years old. I had a case pocket knife. I pulled out the long blade, and he laughed at me and said, "What are you going to do?" And I threw it down in and stuck right at the top of his foot. So that was the first time a knife got a bully off me. God damn, I got in a bunch of trouble. My mom beat that hammer to pieces with a knife, but beat that knife to pieces with a hammer. Then my grandfather snuck me an old timer. I carried that around for some years. My next knife was a buck 110. I carried that until it got lost behind my bed, and I thought a friend of mine had stole it, and I lost a friend. My next knife after that was a KaBar, and the knife I bought after that was a SOG made up in Redmond, Washington. I think it was Redmond, Washington. I still have the SOG knife. The KaBar I still have. It's in my grandfather's coffin. It's tucked in right underneath his right arm. When I was in the Middle East, my grandfather died. My battalion commander said, "Hey, I can get you a 72-hour pass to get stateside. Maybe, hopefully, we can get you back for the funeral." And I said, "It's a lot of rigmarole, and he would not have wanted me to do it." I said, "Can you get my knife to him?" And he got my knife to my dad. My dad took the knife, said a word, touched my grandfather, and tucked the KaBar in the coffin. So KaBar is representing me with my grandfather at my grandfather's funeral. He was instrumental in me learning leather work and making stuff by hand, and KaBar was a part of that story. So I remember I told that to John one time. He just kind of looked at me and was like, "Oh my God, another Marine with a KaBar story." So this stuff means a lot to me. You guys should get this. They're bananas. And every now and then I just take it out. Like if I had a cranky week this week, and I've taken this knife out and getting it in my hand. Okay, I'm not a sociopath, but I still would like to smash and stab shit with it. But it just makes me so happy taking it out and putting it in my hand and thinking about the mold that made it and the hands that they went in and kind of bounced around the Pacific. It's pretty cool. Greg Medford Knife. Shout out to the guys at KaBar. Go in the doobly-doo. Get one of these knives. You don't even need to buy one of my knives. Don't buy one of mine. Don't go spend $1,000 on another pocket knife you may or may not need. I mean, you should do that, but don't skip getting this. Go get this. For Knives, signing off. I am out.